Well, Sabah police have warned of possible foreign interference in this week's election. The Malaysian state is in the middle of campaigning for Saturday's poll. Officials say they've received intelligence that elements from a neighbouring country plan to come in and create trouble on polling day. They've urged anyone with information on an influx of illegal immigrants or any outside threat to Sabah to come forward immediately. Let's go live now to Afifa Arifin. She's in Kota Kinabalu for us, that's the state capital of Sabah. Afifa, good evening. What details do we have right now of this possible foreign interference, and what measures are the authorities taking?
That's right. As we now know, the Sabah security forces are maintaining a high alert, looking at individuals from neighboring countries who are trying to enter Sabah during this period of the state election for two main reasons. So the first reason is that there is a possibility there are certain individuals who are trying to come into the state and cause some discord. According to Sabah's police commissioner, Hazani Ghazali, now he said that the police have received intelligence saying that there are certain elements from neighboring countries who are trying to come in to Sabah and cause some sort of disturbances on polling day. That's 26th of September, this Saturday. However, he did not divulge any sort of details, specific details such as where the source of information comes from, the number of potential troublemakers, and the type of disturbances that they actually plan to cause. Of course, this issue, has been raised by politicians on the campaign trail, including Barisan Nasional's key man Bung Mukhtaradin, who have called on the security forces to step up their land and border controls. And the police are doing just that, increasing surveillance and tightening checks at border controls. But they are also worried about another group of people trying to enter. And these are people with valid documentation, including Malaysians who are trying to get back into the country from neighboring countries via backdoor routes. And given the COVID-19 situation here, the police are very worried that these people who do not go through the authorized channels can bring with them the COVID-19 virus into Sabah.
Yeah, speaking of COVID-19, Afifa, it's another concern that authorities have, and they've pointed out that the foreign intrusion could result in more community spread. How has the coronavirus affected proceedings so far?
That's right. So despite the surge in the number of cases, especially of clusters going on the eastern side of Sabah, early voting will still go on as planned tomorrow, according to the SOPs that are put in place. So tomorrow, the polls will open for some 17,000 people, including police officers and army officers who are on duty on the actual polling day. So the ballots there will be secured at a police lockup, and they'll only be open on the actual polling day at 4 p.m. That is when counting will begin. Now, the Election Commission says that all of the voters must strictly abide by these new SOPs put in place to safeguard against the COVID-19 pandemic. So tomorrow, they will be live streaming some of the voting proceedings so that the rest of Sabah, those 1.2 million Sabahans who will be voting on Saturday, will be aware of the procedures that they will need to take. Now, the COVID-19 situation in Sabah is something that everyone is watching. There are currently 500 active cases in the state. As I said, the majority of them on the eastern side of the region. And, a lot of politicians have voiced their concerns, some of them urging the government to perhaps postpone voting in the affected areas. Even medical experts have said that all of this interstate travel and public gatherings during rallies, that's a source of concern. And they urge the government to perhaps implement an enhanced movement control order on affected areas, or even to look at alternative methods of voting, which would include postal voting, or at the very least, what they need to do is to stagger the voting hours to avoid any sort of congestion or crowd. But at this point in time, what we do know is that, the police have said that campaigning, rallies, or house-to-house visits for the politicians, that is still allowed as long as they abide by the strict SOPs.
All right, thanks very much for that update. Afifa Arifin speaking to us from Kota Kinabalu in Malaysia's Sabah state.